Hello friends, and welcome back to my little corner of the internet, or if you're new here, welcome for the first time. I hope that you stick around. Hi Bookies! If you can't tell from my voice, I'm a little under the weather today, but I still wanted to record this because if I wait any longer, I fear that I will forget the entire plot. So we're gonna do this now. Honestly, part of me just wants to keep recording Dream Daddies, but recording 2 hours of gameplay is surprisingly tedious, and that's probably because I could honestly just sit there and tap my spacebar for 2 hours silently, but that's not interesting to watch. So trying to make it interesting is a little bit taxing, and I just don't have the energy to do that. So in lieu of making you all sit through 2 silent hours of me clicking my spacebar as if this is a Pop Tropica walkthrough or some sort of like weird amalgamation of clips and y'all not understanding anything that's going on in the game, I'm just gonna record something else. I'm bringing back Book Club. I'm still not doing A Court of Thorns and whatever the third book is called. I'll get to it, I promise, but that book is like 690 pages, and for some reason the idea of writing a script and trying to condense the plot of a 690 page book that I read almost 2 years ago is the worst task I've ever assigned myself. I did not think this through when I started this series, but we'll get back to it. In the meantime, I recently read a standalone romance novel called Vanessa Got a Man. I briefly mentioned it, I think, at the end of my second Dream Daddy video. I don't know, before I had finished it. Well, I finished it like 2.5 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, and now I'd like to talk about it. I have lost my physical copy of the book as I sat down to record this video. I have no idea where I left it right now. Which is kind of a bummer because I like to have the physical book in my hand when I record, either to refresh myself on details or just as like a prop. Oh, I'll use a stand-in book, I guess. This is my stand-in for Vanessa Got a Man. It's literally just an old notebook that I think I used for mock trials. Yeah. Once upon a time, I was on my high school and college mock trials team. We don't have to go into it. Sorry, I'm so disoriented. Today we're going to be talking about Vanessa Got a Man by Laquette. I assume that's how you say that. Do you like my nails? They're red because of a musical I'm supposed to be in that opens on Wednesday. And my character's the Queen of Hearts. I'm in Alice by Heart, if you've ever heard of it. Not the point. None of y'all care what I do in my personal life. Y'all are here for a book review. Today, anyway. I do a lot of things on this channel. I'm trying to avoid being a one-trick pony. Vanessa Got a Man. Let's get into it. This book begins with our titular Vanessa Jared at some sort of divorcee support group similar to the one that Renfield was in for abusive relationships in Renfield. I assume this is obviously a book, but that's what popped into my head. She's sitting in the back. She's kind of grumbly, a little bit disinterested. Feels like the vibes are not her style. But here she is trying to piece her life together. So emotional support group for divorcees is where she ended up. However, a woman walks up to her and is like, girl, you look bored as hell. Let's bounce. And bounce she does. Her and these 2 other women both escape the AA support group for divorcees. They're not alcoholics. And find themselves at a nearby bar, which is why I have to preface that they're not alcoholics. They share their sob stories, lament the woes of existence for a little while, and then they decide that they will not be returning to the divorcee support group because it's incredibly not their vibe. But they will become each other's accountability partners. They'll be BFFs and also get each other through this transitional period of life, getting divorced, because that is the thing that has brought them all together and the thing they have in common. These 2 women are named Janae and Cree. They will be sporadically mentioned throughout the rest of this story as they are her only 2 friends, it seems. If she has other friends, not a single one is mentioned in this entire book. And I'm not gonna lie, if she has no other friends, that would make a lot of sense given the circumstances of her story, which we will get into now. Vanessa is in her 40s. I don't remember if I said that already. She is recently-ish divorced at the beginning of this book from a man named Carl. They met in college. They dated, got married pretty much as soon as they graduated. They have been together for 20 years. He emotionally manipulated and abused her for the entirety of their marriage. And one day she woke up and realized that she had been destroyed, essentially, because he had spent 20 years breaking down her confidence and molding her into the perfect wife for him. She wore the same pearl necklace every day for 20 years, wore her hair in a slick back bun, had all these like stodgy librarian ass clothes that she had to wear. She even worked at his company. She had a degree in finance and he put her to work in his business. Her life revolved around being his wife. She was no longer Vanessa Jared, she was Carl's wife. And then she found out he was cheating on her and something in her snapped. She started therapy, built her confidence back up, divorced him, and took everything he owns. She has now more money than she will ever be able to spend in a lifetime. There are details, but it doesn't really matter. The gist of the story is he was incredibly emotionally abusive to her for 20 years. She eventually got out. Hooray. The three girls make their agreement that they're going to hold each other accountable. They're going to be BFFFs forever. Shout out to Beetlejuice. And that concludes chapter 1. Chapter 2 picks up 2 years later. I know, I was also confused, but it's the only time we'll get a time jump. The rest of this book takes place over the course of like 3 weeks. But Vanessa is on the phone with Janae and Cree. They are supposed to be coming out to New York to see her tonight. They're all meeting up to Kiki and such not, so they were just confirming their plans with her first thing in the morning for whatever reason. Janae and Cree live in a little old town called Monroe Hills, which it's north. I think it's a couple hours away for her. They live in some small town called Monroe Hills, which Vanessa constantly makes fun of them for because she is a city girl and their town kind of gives country bumpkin. But they're coming to visit her. They get together every so often. After confirming their plans and getting off the phone, Vanessa then begins to lament her lack of progress, her stagnicity, because she feels like she hasn't done anything with her life since the divorce. It's been about 2 years now since she met Janae and Cree, and both of them seem to be moving on with their lives and making like incredible strides in what they want to do with the next 20, 30, 40 years of their life. She feels as if she should be further, as if she should have some sort of idea. She knows that she still wants to work in finance, but she hates the corporate environment and only has her husband's company on her resume, which probably won't look good. She, spent some time traveling and doing other things, and now she's kind of exhausted her wanderlust and is ready for the next phase of her life, but doesn't know what it is and is frustrated with herself for not having a game plan, which, if you look at it statistically speaking, you spent 20 years as Carl's wife and 2 years as Vanessa Jared. Your entire adult life has been attached to Carl. I think it's fine to not have sort of an idea of what you want to do. It's like when you graduate college and you're not sure what to do because you've been a student. You graduate college and then it's like, well, now what? What is my life if not school? And I think that Vanessa is in a similar stage, but like, I guess because she's older, she feels like she shouldn't be confused. But my understanding of adulthood is that everybody is always confused and just pretending they're not. So, girl, you're fine. She gets up, she does her little morning routine and things, and then there's a knock at the door, and she opens it to find a man named Michael Park at her doorstep, who tells her that he is the sheriff in Monroe Hills, Janae and Cree's little small town. Her original thought is that something terrible has happened, that her friends are in danger, and he's come all the way to New York to tell her, which doesn't make sense to me because you're not their emergency contact, you're not family. Why the hell would the town sheriff drive down to New York City to tell you that your friends are hurt, in jail, in some sort of predicament? Also, you were on the phone with both of them like 20 minutes ago. When she realizes that this can't possibly have anything to do with her besties, he then informs her that his younger sister, Cindy, is engaged to be married to Carl, Vanessa's ex-husband. And Vanessa is like, I don't really want anything to do with this, so arrivederci, have a nice life. Michael is undeterred. There's some back and forth. They do some chit-chatting, and he basically begs her to come to Monroe Hills, talk to his sister, and tell her the truth about Carl, because while Michael is absolutely sure that the slimy bastard cannot be trusted, his sister probably won't listen to him. That's his motive on the thing, especially because apparently Carl told Cindy that Vanessa was dead. So that's cute. Initially, Vanessa is like, absolutely not. Not my circus, not my monkeys. I want nothing to do with whatever the hell you got going on. And then she gives it a second thought because she realizes that she cannot allow Carl to emotionally manipulate another woman if she can do something about it. She's like, morally, ethically, I simply cannot stand by and let him play his foolish games again, because I wish somebody would have warned me. She takes his phone number and says, I'll think about it. And then she meets up with her girls. Hey, your sheriff showed up. Asked me to come down there and break his sister's heart, basically. After discussing it with her girlies and giving it some thought, she decides that she will make this trip to save this random girl, Cindy. She calls Michael. She's like, fine, I'll do it, but I'll let you know when I'm available to come down there, and we'll finalize all of the details after I've sorted out my schedule, seeing when I can make the trip to Miss Monroe Hills. And he's like, awesome, I'll be waiting. I believe it's a couple days later that she messages him or calls him and says, I'll be in town this weekend. And so she makes a reservation at the local inn because Janae and Cree both have several pets, and apparently Vanessa is allergic to pet dander, so she can't stay with her friends. She's obviously not going to stay with this strange man that she met one time. So she makes a reservation at the local inn, gets all her ducks in a row, packs her little overnight bag, and in her Jaguar, some sort of luxury car, makes her little drive, couple of hours out to Monroe Hills. Starts to rain, which it wasn't supposed to do, but evidently her cute little luxury car is not built for the rain. She gets trapped on a bridge because for some reason traffic is moving dreadfully slow. And there are no exits because they're on a bridge. There's also no signal on this bridge because of course there isn't. She manages to make it to Monroe Hills after like a hour and a half drive that turned into like 3 hours, whatever. She gets to the inn, and the innkeep is like, I am so sorry, baby, we ain't got no rooms. And she's like, well, hang on, I made a reservation. And the innkeep is like, yeah, well, we send you an email confirmation, and if you don't respond to the email confirmation, then we give you a call, and if you don't answer the call, we reserve the right to give your room to somebody else. So that's exactly what happened. And she's like, I ain't had no damn signal on that bridge. I was supposed to be here like 3 hours ago. That seems to be the way that this inn works, and everybody is just agreed upon it. But I have literally never heard of this happening. Maybe this is normal and I'm just unaware. But whatever. She's standing in this lobby, distressed and depressed. Soaked to the bone. Her car barely made it to the inn. It like sputtered on the way in. So she has to call Michael. And she's like, hey, I am at the inn. Finally, the problem is the inn cannot accommodate me. And he's like, you didn't confirm, did you? She's like, shut the hell up. Okay. And he's like, alright, hang tight. Just wait for me. I'll be there in a minute. He shows up at the inn. And he's like, well, girl, basically after some lamenting, he's like, just come spend the night at my place. And she's like, I don't know you like that. So she calls Janae and asks Janae to vet him over the phone. Janae is like, yeah, girl, you're not really, you are totally safe with the sheriff. So she reluctantly heads over to the sheriff's house. He drives her down there, actually. She was initially going to just turn around and go home, and he was like, not in this weather, girl. There are no street lights out here, and you don't know this town. She goes to his place. She spends the night there. The next morning, he takes her back to the inn to get her car, only to discover that it will not turn on. Because apparently her bougie little luxury vehicle does not do well in the rain. I was like, what, she got a Cybertruck? So they have to call the town mechanic, who says, might take me like a whole week to fix this. She is furious because obviously she wants to go home. In addition to her car being broke down so she can't go nowhere anyway, Cindy at some point gives Michael a call and is like, hey, she's like out of town in a business thing and she was supposed to come back the Sunday. There was some sort of issue with her flight connections and she had to stop over in Boston for something or the other. So she's not going to make it back for another few days, which means not only can Vanessa not leave because her car is unavailable, she also has no reason to be here now because Cindy will not be returning this weekend. Apparently, Monroe Hills is having some sort of festival at this point in their timeline. Cindy owns a flower shop and Michael offers to assist, or no, actually Cindy kind of forces Michael to assist, and assist he does. Vanessa also is there, so she assists him some as well. Listen, this is a small town romance. There's a lot of just meeting people and learning about their lives. Michael's parents died when he was... Okay, Cindy was 15, but they have a relatively large age gap. I assume Michael is Vanessa's age or around it. I don't know. Actually, I just realized we never find out how old Michael is. But he's decently older than his younger sister, Cindy, who is like 25 now, but still, their parents died when she was a teenager, and Michael was already an adult. He had moved out. He was living in Philadelphia as a detective at the time. And he moved back to Monroe Hills to raise his sister after their parents died in some sort of car accident. And so he's got like big older brother / third guardian energy with Cindy. He's incredibly protective of her. He bails her out of every situation, will make decisions for her, he spoils her, honestly, and Vanessa points it out to him and he's very defensive about it. The details of Michael's parents' death are alluded to several times in this book. He blames himself because his parents were going out of town for something and they asked him to drive, but they told him at the very last second and he couldn't get out of Philly, and they were like, so they drove up there anyway, but apparently the dad should not have been driving. There was a car accident because he couldn't see something because it was raining, and he's like, I should have driven them, but like, your daddy made the decision to make that drive, girl. I digress. We meet Michael's friends way earlier on in the book. I cannot for the life of me remember their names. One of them is Adam, I think. Maybe? It really doesn't matter. They're like the peanut gallery. They just kind of heckle Michael every once in a while. Janae and Cree also know these two gentlemen. One of Vanessa's friends is really into one of Michael's friends, but I don't remember who's into who. They all grew up together. They're all from Monroe Hills and all went to school together. Oh, I think their names are Adam and Derek. Are the friends? I might have just made that up, but whatever. One of the friends recently just moved back to town and is busy flirting with Vanessa's friend. Which one? Who knows? There's like this whole will they, won't they with those two happening in the background. I'm just telling you stuff now, just in case you were wondering, basically. During the festival, Michael and Vanessa basically go together, not necessarily as a date per se, but he's like showing her around town. There is a whole lot of like ignored sexual tension between Vanessa and Michael, and I'm saying ignored because they spend like the first day and a half that Vanessa is in Monroe Hills pretending that they're not going to rip each other's clothes off. He'd think about her all the time, like regularly having to take care of a personal problem, and every time he touches her, like even, you know, like light gestures, like a hand on the shoulder, or like they brush arms when they grab something, you know, simple things, her heart be like well, her heart starts beating elsewhere, let's put it like that, you know. And they're like, this is a terrible idea, I'm here to break your sister's heart, you're here to break, like, we shouldn't do this. You know, this can't happen. That resolve lasts approximately 48 hours before they rip each other's clothes off. They do their devil's tango way early on. And I was like, yeah, okay, I guess. This book is only like 250 pages. I guess we gotta rapid fire some of these things. Sure, great. They do it once and then decide that once is simply not enough. So they start to like casually see each other while Vanessa is in town, because Michael is like, I ain't looking for no commitments either. Vanessa is like anti-relationship at this stage in her life, not necessarily because she does not want to be in one, but because she is terrified of ending up with another person like Carl, which is totally understandable. So they're like, we'll keep it casual, word to chaperone, I guess. Slay. They're having a good time. The festival's happening. We learn a lot about the small town of Monroe Hills, but all of the people are completely arbitrary NPCs that are just kind of there because this is a small town where everybody knows each other. There is one pretty thin white woman. I cannot for the life of me remember her name. We're going to call her Amber. She's really into Michael and does not take no for an answer. Something about that feels a little odd. And part of the festival that Monroe Hills is having includes a dating auction in which Michael is forced to participate because the mayor insists upon the participation of several of the town's law enforcement and fire department. So Michael has to participate every year, and every year she wins the bid, Amber, and every year she makes him greatly uncomfortable. So this year Michael is obviously taking Vanessa to the gala because she's here. The only good thing about the auction is that they use the money raised in order to send 5 kids from Monroe Hills to college on full scholarships, which is great. They do run into thin, pretty white woman somewhere at the carnival before they go to the gala, and she's weirdly territorial around Michael, despite the fact that that man don't even want you, but hey, I digress. Anyway, we go to the gala. Vanessa, she's so funny. She was like, I'm going to play a game that none of you can beat me at. She ate. So you can do anonymous bidding before the auction starts. So she goes up to the like bid section and she's like, I'm going to put down a bid in advance. I want it to remain anonymous. Okay. And the guy there is like, yeah, sure, I got you. We can do anonymity. So she writes down a number and hands it to the man, and he's like, you can't, 1, 2, 3, 4, that's too many zeros, you can't have possibly meant to put that many zeros on here. And she's like, no, that's correct. And I'm like, how much money could she possibly have, like, he looks confused, and he's like, are you doing a joke here? Because you can't be doing a joke, this is for kids education. She's like, I will wire you the money right now if you need me to prove it. And he's like, yeah, okay, do that. So she does. She wires him the money. And then she goes back and she sits down with her groups of people. And then the auction begins. Michael, hot commodity that he is, the bidding is going and going and going. Eventually, thin, pretty white woman makes her bid. A couple $1,000s, I think, if I remember correctly. I don't know. Her bid's pretty high. They don't expect anybody to beat it. But then the auctioneer goes, oh, we have an anonymous bid from the pre-bidding of $2 million. $2 million. Just to rub it in pretty thin white woman's face. Like, $2 million was a stretch. You knew damn well wasn't nobody gonna pay that much money. Thin pretty white woman glares at Vanessa and storms out. Janae and Creed look at her suspiciously. And the boys are all a little confused. Not Michael, he's obviously up on stage, but the boyfriends of Michael's are also sitting at the same table during this gala. So they look confused, and Janae and Creed look suspicious, and Vanessa is avoiding eye contact until Michael comes storming down the aisle drags her into the hallway. He's like, what the hell are you doing? And she's like, making a donation. And he's like, that's insane. $2 million is too much money. Are you out of your mind? And she's like, I am good for it. Trust me. I have more money than I could possibly spend in a lifetime. If you're worried that I just made myself broke trying to prove a point, I didn't. I'm good. Oh, there's another thing that happens, I think before the gala, actually. Vanessa is, like, talking about her love of finance. Michael says that the town financier is actually retiring because all of his family lives in other places and he wants to be closer to his grandkids and blah, 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 blah. So he's actually closing down and they are losing him. And they actually run into him while they're, like, you know, gallivanting, and he is still trying to sell, and Michael is like, oh my god, you like finance, you could just buy his business, that'd be a great idea, you can move here. And she's like, whoa, what? Excuse you? Chill out. Basically, she is adamantly against Michael's idea, not necessarily because she hates the idea of buying this business per se, because she did mention that his business reminds her of the one that her grandparents started, because they started in, like, a small business that, like, serviced their community, and then they built it into something that was huge but incredibly cold, and she hated that kind of environment. It's not necessarily that she's against buying his business, but she does not want Michael making decisions for her or trying to imply that she needs his assistant to decide what to do with her life, you know? Like, she's like, I will make those choices. I don't need you to try and convince me to do anything. I don't know. They have a conversation that somehow results in them leaving the gala because they are ready to rip each other's clothes off again. The problem is, you'll never guess what happens next. This book is short. This book is 179 pages. Everything happens so quickly. But whatever. They're busy ready to rip each other's clothes off, and then in through Michael's door comes Cindy and Carl. Michael temporarily kicks them out so that they can get their lives together, and Vanessa goes upstairs to get her evidence, because apparently she brought evidence. Oh, I should point out that the turning point for Vanessa, the reason why she decided, outside of the, like, ethical dilemma here, the reason why she really decided to come back here and tear Carl's life up again. He stole her grandmother's wedding ring. Her grandmother gave him a ring to propose with when they were getting married, and she took it back from him when they got divorced, obviously. And he came back to their house to get some things, and he stole the ring, and he gave it to Cindy. And so she was like, I'm gonna come, but you have to make sure I get that ring back. That was her bargaining chip, basically. So here we are, the climaxical point of the book, I guess, here. Cindy is back, and so is Carl. He immediately recognizes Vanessa, obviously, and Cindy's a little confused, obviously. Vanessa goes upstairs. She brought receipts. So she explains to Cindy the circumstances of their marriage, how he's a terrible person, how she's obviously not dead. Shout out Black Panther. She shows her a marriage certificate, divorce proof, wedding photos, including the ring on Cindy's finger that proves that it is Vanessa's ring. Carl does his very best to do his emotional manipulation thing. He's like, seriously? She's crazy. She wants to ruin my life. It's all she's ever wanted to do. I've never lied to you. You're gonna believe this stranger over me? You know, the thing that manipulative, gaslighty douchebags always try to pull. Cindy is not stupid, so she kicks him out, and then she starts cussing out Michael, which surprised me at first. Although, I get where she's coming from. She is frustrated because she feels like Michael babies her. She does not think he allows her to make her own decisions. She's like, you had such little faith in my ability to look out for myself, in my own judgment, that you forced this woman out here to throw it in my face so bad that there was no way I could possibly ignore the red flags. Instead of just telling me yourself. Wow, my camera's focus is really bad today. Maybe it's the lights. Hang on. There we go. It's the lights. There's no contrast with the back. I feel bad because I've already recorded like 45 minutes of this video, but I'm not re-recording. We're just gonna... She's like, you had such little faith in my ability to look out for my own best interest that you had to make it so crushingly obvious that he was bad news, that you didn't think I would take your word for it. You think I couldn't make that decision without this? Vanessa's car is repaired the next day. There's a couple other things that happen that make this kind of awful all at the same time, because Michael sets up a meeting between her and the financier guy who's about to like retire and move, and she's incredibly frustrated with him for crossing the line because she already said she wasn't interested in buying the business, and whether she is or isn't is up to her to decide. It's not his place to start making meetings on her behalf because she is an adult. And again, her biggest fear is that she will end up again with a guy like Carl, who is incredibly controlling. And she's like, she's so terrified of somebody else having control over her life that the idea of anybody doing anything, even with her best interest in mind, that she did not approve. And I mean, I get it, don't get me wrong. I would be also equally as pissed off if I said, I'm not interested in buying this business. Stop pushing it. And then you went and set up a meeting on my behalf with the owner of the business that I already told you I didn't want to buy. I'm sorry, do your ears work? Do your ears... What's going on up here? Is there anything behind your... Knock, 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 is anybody home? I would also be pissed. I get why she's mad, but... Yeah, so between that happening and then the situation with Cindy, her car is fixed and she's like, you know what? It's best for me to just remove myself from the situation. So she goes back to New York. And then Michael is upset. Duh. He really, really, really cares about this woman that he's known to like a week, actually. But she got him sprung. There she got me. Got me doing things I never do. If you ain't been, I'm telling you. Anyway, after a kick in the teeth from one of his buddies, who is like, if you care about this girl that damn bad that she got you this sprung out after a week, go and do something about it. What's wrong with you? You knew her for a week. She's been gone for 2 weeks and you've been making it everybody's problem since. So go and get your girl. And Michael is like, I can't leave Cindy. All of this is so complicated, blah, 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 blah. And his friend is like, Cindy is a grown-ass adult woman. And actually, the friend is like, since Michael don't listen to nobody, I'm gonna go behind his back. He goes to Cindy directly and he's like, we gotta fix your brother because he's going to sabotage himself for the rest of his life if he thinks that he has to for you. And Michael overhears their conversation basically, and he realizes that he has been an overbearing douchebag, and that is exactly the reason why Vanessa left in the first place. But for some reason he has suddenly realized, oh damn, I be doing too damn much. So scared of losing people that he's keeping them in cages, and that's not working for nobody involved. He has a conversation with Cindy, who's like, it'll probably be a little weird that you're dating my ex-fiance's previously dead ex-wife, but I want you to be happy, and if this woman makes you happy, don't postpone that on my account. I'm only 25. I'll marry somebody else. It's not that serious. You have literally never had a long relationship. You uprooted your life to take care of me after our parents died. It's time to do something for yourself. So Michael makes the trip down to New York City intending to visit Vanessa, who we then find out is packing up her entire life currently. Actually, she's moving somewhere because she realizes that she will probably never be happy staying in a house that is so attached to her life with Carl, her marriage with Carl, etc. Michael shows up with a huge ass bouquet of roses, which he did not actually technically bring for her. She ordered him roses, where she like went behind his back and ordered roses at the flower shop that his sister owns, while they were working in the flower shop. And they arrived, and he was like, I thought I'd come thank you in person. Also, apologize. You're right, I overstepped. I shouldn't have done that. I was doing too damn much, blah, blah, blah. You know the deal. She expresses concern. Well, she's already did express concern. She expressed it earlier before she, like, left him. She was like, I can't be with another man like Carl, and I know that you might not be, but you overstepped. You know, crossed a boundary that I was very clear about, and I can't do that again. I can't allow you to do that again. Which is totally fair. He crossed the boundary. He shouldn't have, and there are consequences for crossing boundaries. He comes back. He apologizes. He swears up and down he's not like Carl. She's like, no, I know. They have a cute little conversation. They make up. She then informs him that she is actually obviously in the process of moving, and if he had come not 2 hours later, he would have missed her. Although, she's moving to Monroe Hills. Evidently, she did in fact set up a meeting with that guy on her own terms. And she bought his business and has decided she is moving to Monroe Hills. But she wanted to get all her ducks in a row before she contacted Michael again. He just beat her to the punch. That is pretty much the entirety of the book. This was obviously a very laissez-faire summary. It's a short romance. It's like fine. I will say some of the dialogue is kind of funny because it's like everybody except for Michael and Cindy are like black, and some of them are like blackety black, but some of them are like not. And also this might just be because I have not read a lot of romances that center this many non-white characters in a like modern world. I've read a lot of dystopian novels where the main characters are all sorts of races. For example, I'm reading this where the prince is Asian. I'm going to make a video about this book as well, and I'll get into more detail about that. But this is set several centuries in the future. So social constructs that exist here don't exist the same way. Or like I read another book, it was called The Girl with Stars in Her Eyes, in which she's black, but pretty much all the other characters of importance are white. The dynamics are weird, so there's not like an acknowledgement of black culture as much in that book. Talia Hibbert, all of her main characters are black, but Talia Hibbert is British, so it's a little different. I'm getting up on my soapbox, but basically this is probably one of the this was an interesting read because it's like, even though their blackness isn't centered in the story, it's not like hidden, is what I mean. Like you can't just swap these characters out for white people and it read the same, because a lot of their language, a lot of the ways that they are interacting with the world, a lot of their relationships are directly affected by the fact that they are black, even though it's not a story element. And I like that. I feel this way about movies too, which is not what this is about, but like there's this, if blackness is not the center of the story, it kind of like disappears, you know, in a way. And that didn't happen here, which was just something I'm not used to, but I did enjoy. This isn't a critique, it's just something I noticed because like Michael is Korean, and so every once in a while he'll say something in Korean in the book, because something he talks about is that one of the few things that he got from his parents was the Korean language, and it's something that he tries to keep, to hold on to them as a memory or whatever. I will say that he pretty much just says the 4 Korean words that most non-Korean speakers would recognize. Not in a bad way. I mean, he's speaking to non-Korean speakers most of the time. And his like only conversation with Cindy is pretty much entirely in English, except she calls him Oppa, which is the word for big brother. Which is fine. I mean, they live in America. I don't know. I guess I wish it was like, it felt more naturally weaved in to his vocabulary. But I mean, that's a personal choice. I don't know. I liked this book. It was a short read. It was a sweet read. It was, you know, stressful where you expect it to be stressful, but otherwise it was just them being cute and me kicking my feet while I was at work. It's a fun read if you're looking for something short, something non-committal that you can get done in like a couple of days. I recommend it. I feel like I should have more to say, but I don't. I'm tired of recording and I have a meeting in an hour. So I'd like to stop. I'm going to call it there. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. And I'll see you next time. Oh, hey, you're still here. Great, yeah. Hi! At the end of all of my videos, I include a question for you guys to answer down below in the comment section if you feel so inclined. This video, the question is going to be, if you could speak another language, what would it be? If you do speak another language, feel free to comment that as well. I speak Korean, currently teaching myself Japanese and sign language. Yeah, if you could speak a language or you do speak a language, what language you got? But other than that, go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe, do all the things. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, I guess. This is the real end of the video. I'll see y'all next time. It'll probably be another Dream Daddy video. Hopefully I feel better in a couple of weeks and I can do that. Bye!